Good morning. Happy Saturday. I received a comment on the video I did on Pink Camera Magic's, the outcome of her trial. And in it, I said you should remain silent. You should just shut your pie hole from the get-go. Don't say a damn thing. I believe I said in there, if you feel you need to say that you're asserting your Fifth Amendment right, or you're asserting your right to remain silent, or you're remaining silent, or you don't answer questions, something along those lines, then fine. But beyond that, be quiet. Now, a commenter said that you have to actually verbally assert your right to remain silent, and he based this on Salinas versus Texas. Now, I disagree, generally speaking, that if you just remain silent the entire time, if you never answer any questions, if you never speak, if you never respond verbally or physically to anybody's questions or assertions or allegations or accusations, I don't believe anything will happen to you. I don't believe it will be used against you. I believe that any attempt a prosecutor makes to attempt to use your absolute silence against you at trial will be shot down unequivocally by the judge. That is my firm belief. That's my firm conviction. And you could probably find an attorney who would disagree with me. And that's fine. Attorneys tend to disagree with each other. That's why usually in every case there is an attorney on both sides of the case, and they tend to disagree with each other. And indeed, in Salinas versus Texas, the opinion is a 3-judge opinion. Justice Alito announced the judgment of the court and delivered the opinion in which the Chief Justice and Justice Kennedy joined. That is 3. Now, you may be doing some quick math in your head and think to yourself, well, there are 9 justices. How is 3 going to make the opinion of the court? Well, there's a concurrence. They disagree with why. They disagree with the underlying legal reason why. But Thomas and Scalia concurred in the outcome. They said, look, you got it wrong on how you got there, but you got there. And so we agree. So that's 5. And then the dissent, there are 4 people in: Breyer, Ginsburg, Sotomayor, and Kagan. All say you're wrong and you're dumb, and you're the combination of dumb and wrong that makes it dong, I guess. So why in the face of Salinas versus Texas, do I think that if you just remain silent the entire time, nothing you say can and will be used against you? Well, it's because of the underlying facts in Salinas versus Texas. This is different than other facts, because you may notice that in Miranda versus Arizona, where a person has been taken into custody, they say, this is footnote 37, in accord with our decision today, it is impermissible to penalize an individual for exercising his Fifth Amendment privilege when he is under police custodial interrogation. The prosecution may not, therefore, use at trial the fact that he stood mute or claimed his privilege in the face of accusation. So just standing mute once you have been placed in custodial interrogation is sufficient. And indeed, there's Castigar versus the United States, another Supreme Court decision. This is on page 461. It says, the privilege assures that a citizen is not compelled to incriminate himself by his own testimony. It usually operates to allow a citizen to remain silent when asked a question requiring an incriminatory answer. So when would it not allow a citizen to remain silent when asked a question requiring an incriminatory answer? Well, that's where the facts of Salinas versus Texas become important. There was a murder. There were shotgun shells that were found at the murder scene. The police figured out that it might be this fella by the name of Salinas. So they go to his home. He has a shotgun there. He also has a car that matched the description of the vehicle that witnesses saw leaving the residence after the murder. And so they asked him to come down to the police station for an interview. And this dummy McDummerson chose to go down to the police station and give them an interview, a la Earl David Warden. And much as in the case with Earl David Warden, things went pear-shaped because cops are very good at getting people, not just criminals, but people, to say things that tend to incriminate themselves. So what they did is they started asking him a bunch of questions. The cops started asking Salinas a bunch of questions. And Salinas was answering them until they said, if we give these shells and your gun to our crime lab, do you think that our crime lab is going to say that these shells came from your shotgun? And he shut up. And he didn't answer. I think they said something along the lines of he got very tight. Here we go. He looked down at the floor, shuffled his feet, bit his bottom lip, clenched his hands in his lap, and began to tighten up. After a few moments of silence, the officer asked additional question, which petitioner answered. So petitioner is willing to answer any and every question except for this incriminatory question, but he doesn't verbally claim his right to remain silent. Based on that, the officers were able to use his silence on that particular question against him. Much like, because Pink Camera Magic talked, they were able to draw inferences from what she said and use it against her. Now, she could not remain silent, apparently. She lacked that physical ability to do so. And to be perfectly honest with you, most of us are incapable of doing that. Police prey on our natural human social behavior and our desire to be social animals. They prey on it. Or at least they play on it. They use it against you. And that's one of the reasons why I don't if you are incapable of shutting the F up, I suggest that you just shut the F up and you don't start to say some memorized line along the lines of, I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. Because the first thing the police officer is going to do is going to say, you invoke your right to remain silent? And you're going to say, yes, I do. And they're going to say, why? And you're going to say something along the lines of, have you ever heard of the Fifth Amendment? And you're going to feel so smart. And you're going to start telling the cop why the cop is dumb and why you're smarter than the cop is, just like Pink Camera Magic did with the Fourth Amendment. And all the while, what you are doing is you are waiving the Fifth Amendment right that you took the time to invoke. So I don't recommend that you say anything to the police ever under any circumstances. If you think you're capable of it and you would feel more comfortable, fine. Say I invoke my right to remain silent and then actually physically remain silent. If you are incapable of doing that, and I will bet you a nickel that you are, and if everybody who bet me a nickel actually went to the cops and tried to play this game with the cops, I think I'd win more nickels than I lost. Just remain silent. Just remain silent. Now, in addition, I also want to point out that the United States Supreme Court, for the Fifth Amendment purposes, sets the floor. They say this is the minimum constitutional guarantee that you have. If you are being prosecuted by the state, you are going to have to look at the way your state has defined not only any state constitutional privileges for your right to remain silent, but also the way that they have interpreted the Fifth Amendment right to remain silent, because this is the floor. The state can always interpret it to give you more protections than what the United States Supreme Court did. Now, I'm not suggesting that they would interpret the Fifth Amendment to give you more protections than the United States Supreme Court did. But they could. They could always go up because they're safe as long as they give you more protections than what the Supreme Court did with any particular provision of the Constitution. So Anyway, that's my spiel, and I'm sticking to it. I hope you understand now why at least I believe that Salinas versus Texas would not allow the cops to raise you remaining silent in a non-custodial interrogation or in a custodial interrogation via Miranda versus Arizona if you just remained silent and did not answer any questions or respond to any accusations or allegations or anything of the sort. Once again, if I could teach everybody who listens to this video one thing today, it would be don't talk to the police, period. Thank you for watching and have a great day.